McGregor is back in extremely violent fashion. What's up, folks? Fred Richani, TSC, your home for sports news updates, interviews, and everything in between. If you're new here, we'd appreciate you subscribing and enabling notifications. Conor McGregor, first win in over 3 years. That's right, the Eddie Alvarez fight where he unified both titles. That was over 3 years ago, November 2016. Came into this fight as a favorite against Cerrone, but I thought it would be close. I mean, I simulated it in EA Sports UFC 3. Granted, that's a video game, and it had Conor McGregor winning in violent fashion, but towards the end of the first round, well, he didn't even need a minute. So what happened in the fight, to just briefly recap it, McGregor rushed into Cerrone. By the way, both guys looked to be in tremendous shape. McGregor looked good at 170. Smashed him with these vicious shoulder strikes. That's right, shoulders. Broke Cowboy Cerrone's nose, backed him up, kicked him in the head, hit him with some vicious combinations. Cerrone crumbled to a heap, kept beating him down. Cerrone was covering up, trying to defend himself. Herb Dean gave Cerrone every single possible chance to defend himself, but my God, he was bloodied up. He was battered in short order. Herb Dean had to stop the fight. And your winner, the Notorious Conor McGregor. And what can I say? It was a very weird feeling watching this fight, watching this whole event. Let me just recap the post-fight interview first off. So he talks about how, he's back, baby. Talks about how he's the only UFC fighter in history to have knockouts in the featherweight division, lightweight division, and welterweight division. So that's a big history. He put over Donald Cerrone. Of course, Cerrone has the all-time wins record in UFC. And then he talked about how, hey, any of these guys can get it. And they showed Kamaru Usman on the screen. They showed Jorge Masvidal on the screen. He even dissed Paul Felder, who was on commentary, although that's kind of a weird fight. And so, yeah, he called out pretty much everybody. Hyped his whiskey, hyped his after party, said he felt good at this weight, and we'll see what happens. And, man, he was as charismatic as ever. This was like if you took a time machine back to 2016 or 2015. This was the old Conor McGregor in terms of precise precision, as Mike Goldberg would say, in terms of phenomenal technique, in terms of the superstar aura. I mean, everybody was in the building. Matthew McConaughey, Tom Brady, Dave Bautista, a ton of people. I feel heartbroken for Cowboy Cerrone because no matter how you feel about either of these dudes individually outside of the cage, I mean, man, he has put together a phenomenal resume, and it's just one of those things. I don't know what it is, if it's like the 1990s Buffalo Bills or, I don't know what it is, or James Harden against the Golden State Warriors. Like, they get to a certain point, and then they just kind of crumble, unfortunately. And with Cerrone, I mean, he had that title fight with Bendo, which could have gone either way in WEC. The rematch ended, I think, in a submission loss for him. He had that huge fight against RDA for the title a few years ago, got destroyed in the main event of Fox. And here we have a fight that is pretty much a title fight. I mean, the money is championship level. All eyeballs on him. Poor guy crumbles to a heap. And while he is going to the Hall of Fame, while he is an all-time great fighter, at the end of the day, this is sports, and unfortunately for him, that's going to be part of his narrative. But, man, I felt a little, I don't know if guilty is the right word, watching this and consuming this, but I don't know. For those that don't know, not to rain on this parade, which is a great parade for MMA, and a lot of people involved in this made a lot of money, a lot of fans are excited. The reality is, Conor McGregor is under investigation for not one, but 2 sexual assaults in Ireland. The only real media outlet to truly report on this was the New York Times in the U.S. In Ireland, there's various publications that call him famous Irish star because they can't really say outright until I think there's like a formal charge. There's some weird Irish law with press that says you can't name a guy or a girl if they have allegations unless they get charged. So he's under investigation right now for 2 sexual assaults. I'm not saying the UFC shouldn't have booked him in this fight. It's just weird that not a lot of people have talked about it. And yes, Ariel Helwani sort of brought it up. He talked about allegations. They didn't really go into specifics. And I get it. For legal reasons, Conor McGregor can't talk about it. But you think about some of the prominent athletes over the years that have been accused of something that heinous, right? Kobe Bryant, he was on ice for a little bit. He lost all his endorsements. Ben Roethlisberger, a guy I'm not really a fan of at all. He even got at least a 6-game suspension from the NFL. Later, I think it was shortened to like 4 games. Either way, he got punished in some capacity. And I don't know. I guess McGregor's transformation as Floyd Mayweather's complete. Floyd Mayweather linked to a lot of heinous things. Granted, Floyd Mayweather even did like a cup of coffee in prison. I don't know. Obviously, I sincerely hope those allegations aren't true, but it is just, I don't know. It felt weird watching all this love and adulation for a guy that is linked to some pretty heinous stuff. And it's great that he won a fight. It's great that he looked good. He's making a lot of money. He is an absolute superstar. He is one of the all-time greats. I know some people don't consider him an all-time great MMA fighter, but let's keep it real. He is an all-time great, and he's got that superstar X factor you only see once in a lifetime, once in a generation. But the reality is that legal stuff's not going away anytime soon. I mean, maybe it is. He talked like a guy that's ready to beat these cases. He talked like a guy that's going to put the past behind him, the punching the old man, the breaking the dude's cell phone, the hopping over the cage, the pushing a referee in a concussed fighter in a Bellator fight. All that stuff. The dolly, giving Rose Namajunas PTSD. I mean, all that stuff has just been over the last couple of years. So one would hope, one would think, one would pray, if you're into God like that this guy is on the right track and that stuff with the allegations is not true. But the reality is, it's there right now. This is something that everybody's got to keep a close eye on within the next year. And, at the end of the day, I try not to put celebrities on a pedestal because you never know, or anybody on a pedestal for that matter. But yeah, it's kind of crazy how you don't hear a lot about it. When Kobe Bryant, I'm old enough to remember when Kobe Bryant played with the rape allegations in the background, and that was news all the time. And I don't know, maybe it's because it's in a different country. It's out of sight, out of mind, whatever the case may be. But a little weird at best, if you ask me. Maybe a little disturbing to some. But hey, look, as far as in the cage, he got the job done. What can I say? I can't say anything bad about his performance tonight. He did an absolutely, positively fantastic job here. Now, as far as the rest of the results, if we want to go over them real quick, Holly Holm defeated Raquel Pennington in a rematch via unanimous decision, 30-27, 29-28, 30-27. Holly Holm did some really good clinch work. A lot of people did not expect it to go down that way, but it did. So Holly Holm once again gets the victory, continues to keep herself in title contention. We'll see what happens there. We had Aleksei Oleinik in a fun fight with Maurice Greene. Well, some people might call it fun. Got the job done via submission and armbar in round number 2. I like the fight. I like Aleksei Oleinik's fight. Some people say he's kind of boring sometimes, but he's got some unique submissions and brings something different to the table. And sometimes that's all you can ask for. So I dug the fight. We had Brian Kelleher defeat Ode Osbourne via submission. This is kind of a mild upset. Osbourne had some hype coming in from the Dana White Contender Series. He defeated Osbourne via guillotine choke, and Osbourne actually tapped with his foot. I can't recall seeing a foot tap in a long time in MMA. We had Carlos Diego Ferreira defeat Anthony Pettis via neck crank submission in round number 2. Huge win for Ferreira. Just a huge win for him over a former champion, and we'll see where he goes in 2020. On the prelims, my favorite fight of the night, Roxanne Modafferi, the wily veteran at Flyweight, defeated Maycee Barber via unanimous decision, 30-27, 30-27, 30-26. If you've never met Roxanne or seen her on social media, she's like the nicest person. She's a sweetheart. And on top of that, she loves anime. She's always dressed up as like Dragon Ball Z characters. And she's just a really likable, marketable person. And luck always hasn't gone her way. But in recent years, she's really had a career resurgence. She's one of the pioneers in women's MMA, fought in the early days. A lot of people thought, okay, it's great that she's in the UFC, but her best days are behind her, much like, unfortunately, a lot of the women that pioneered. But no, she's had a career resurgence these last few years and looked damn good tonight. Now, I should mention that Barber did injure her ACL in the fight. We don't know the extent of the injury. Hopefully, she won't be laid off for too long. But I don't think Maycee Barber lost that much in this fight. She fought with a lot of heart. She was bloody. She was battered. She kept trying to win, and I think she'll be back. This is a fight that she could definitely learn from. Sodiq Yusuff defeated Andre Fili via unanimous decision. Askarov defeated Tim Elliott in a mild upset via unanimous decision. Drew Dober looked good against Nasrat Haqparast via TKO in round number 1. In the light heavyweight division, it was an okay fight. Nice showcase fight for the teammate of Stipe Miocic. Alexa Kemmer defeated Justin Ledet via unanimous decision. And then we had the opener, which was the women's flyweight bout. Sabina Mazo defeated J.J. Aldrich via split decision. So overall, I was pretty entertained by this card. You can make the strong argument that the undercard, other than maybe the Pettis fight, didn't really belong on a Conor McGregor card, but let's keep it real. This is a one-match show. This was a one-match show, and I don't know. If you, on one hand, right, it's kind of like Bill Goldberg, if you're a wrestling fan. You know a Goldberg fight, it's not going to last long, but you know it's going to be exciting, and you watch it. You just want to see him hit the spear, hit the jackhammer. And with McGregor, it's kind of the same thing sometimes, right? Mike Tyson, kind of the same thing. Although, I don't know. This fight was, what, $65 on pay-per-view plus tax? $85 if you bought the pay-per-view and signed up for ESPN Plus. I don't know if you got your money's worth. All depends. I thought it was awesome, but then again, I've been watching MMA for well over a decade now and ordering pay-per-views, and yeah, I'm kind of used to it. But there's a part of me, obviously, that is a little disappointed. We didn't get kind of a real fight. Leon, now let's go to some of the comments in the live chat before I hop on out of here. By the way, if you are listening to us live or if you're listening to us via the podcast, I do sincerely appreciate it. Evan Prout, great seeing you, bro. Great seeing you too, dude. Leon Jewell, seems like Cowboy gave up over a busted nose. Look, man, Cowboy's fought for way too long, had way too many wins to have given up. I don't think he's given up at all. I totally disagree there. I just think, unfortunately, he got tagged, he got rocked, he got stunned, and Conor's a beast. Look, whatever is going on outside the cage, it's not great. Conor McGregor is an all-time great inside of the cage. Whether he's a decent guy or not, I don't know. Wow. Steven Hufschmidt says, Cowboy really lost? Yep. Okay, Flower says, hey, man, with the sexual assault, how many of these athletes get accused and ends up being false too? You can't crucify a guy for allegations. I'm not crucifying a guy for allegations, dude. What I'm saying is that you don't see a lot of athletes that get accused of a sexual assault, let alone two, and possibly more if you believe reports, and continue to be hyped up like nothing's happening. That's all I'm saying, okay? Obviously innocent until proven guilty. I sincerely hope it's not true. We'll see what happens. I'm just saying, okay? When Kobe Bryant was playing, when he was going to the NBA Finals with Shaq, that's all they were talking about. They were talking about the rape allegations and how it affected the team and everything else. Ben Roethlisberger, that was a big narrative. When Ray Lewis was linked to far worse, that was a huge narrative. I mean, I'm just going by what I see in other sports here. This is like, other than Floyd Mayweather, right, with some of his transgressions that I believe have been proven by a court of law. This is the first time I've seen an athlete in a while. I don't want to say you get out scot-free, but not get crucified by the media. Not saying it's right, not saying it's wrong. It is just a little jarring. It is just a little weird. Again, obviously those are allegations, but, it's not a great pattern of alleged behavior between all the stuff that we know he's already done. That's all I'm saying. So hopefully it's not true. Hopefully we'll find a resolution this year. And, we can move forward in a positive direction. But, again, not crucifying a guy, just keeping it real, as I do on this show. Anyway, folks, I'm going to get on out of here. The next big UFC fight, well, there's a couple. We have the UFC Fight Night next weekend. Blades versus Dos Santos. That'll be a good fight. Rafael Dos Anjos against Michael Chiesa. Those are two really good fights. The rest of the card, looks decent. Angela Hill's fighting. I'm a big fan of hers. So that's January 25th. You can take a look at that. And then in 3 weeks, we have the big UFC pay-per-view, UFC 247, February 8th out of Houston, Texas. John Bones Jones defends the light heavyweight title against Dominic Reyes. Reyes is undefeated. He's looked great. I mean, man, he massacred Weidman. But he is young. He is inexperienced. He's had some good experience, but he's going up against the all-time great. And no matter how you feel about John Jones and the PED stuff, he's probably the best fighter of all time. And that is a tall task, literally and figuratively. And then we have Caitlin Chukagian challenging Valentina Shevchenko for the women's flyweight championship. And same deal. Until I see somebody beat Valentina at flyweight, I got to pick the Bullet Babe. But folks, again, I want to hear from you. If you enjoyed this update, like, share, take care. Don't forget to subscribe and enable notifications for more updates like this. And until next time, as always, enjoy the matches.